has a good amount of game-changing rares backed up. Cards like End Hostilities, Flying Crane Technique, and Sarkhan, I believe, all in his list.
A lot of power in Evan's list. The Flying Crane Technique.
That's probably might be my favorite name in the set.
It's pretty high on my list, too. As Christian Calcano explained to me, it's a forbidden move, but sometimes desperate times.
Yeah, Evan is on every color except for black, whereas on the other side, the one color Forest is not playing is red.
Your opponent plays a Flying Crane Technique against you. Go ahead, call a judge. Let him know that move is forbidden.
All right, both players trading some life gain lands early on. We might see a lot of mana development. Both players playing a more Haymaker-style strategy.
Well, what's going to be interesting about this third game is, has Forrest seen End Hostilities yet or not? Because if he has, the game gets played in an entirely different fashion than if he hasn't.
See Forrest there, every color but red already. And Evan will have the first play of the game. It's a morph face down. This is a Sagu Archer, I believe.
One of the lower impact morphs.
Yeah, it's low impact, but it's not terrible, I would say, in the fact that it can answer flyers, which are flyers actually tend to be pretty good in this format. It certainly is a single roll kind of card. Like this is for opponents who have a lot of flyers. Forrest will use the Sultai Charm mode of draw 2 discard on the end step here.
So if someone's going to use a Sultai Charm on the turn 3 for this mode, it means they're either at risk of missing their 4th land drop, or they have some sort of powerful spell, delve spell they are trying to set up.
Yeah, certainly this is a card where I would imagine in Limited, you'd want to use the first mode as much as possible.
Yeah.
You may be right about the lands. Windswept Heath for Forrest. Good rare power on his side as well.
I'm happy to own the Windswept Heath, but if you're interested in winning the tournament, that's not a great allocation of one of your rare slots.
And what are the things that he's building up toward in his deck?
He has an Ivory Tusk Fortress. That's one of his big cards. He has two copies of Hooting Mandrills, so nice thing to delve into, as you see.
We'll go ahead and do that right now.
The Ape, I believe.
Yeah, Hooting Mandrills is a card I've been very happy with in drafting. I think it's still pretty decent in sealed. You did mention a 4/4 can eventually get outclassed, but it looks like it'll be pretty good here. Evan makes a 4th land and passes. So we know Sagu Archer cannot unmorph. He unmorphs for 5. Evan is sitting on a kill shot in his hand. And he will kill shot the Hooting Mandrills. Of note, I don't know if Evan has the 2nd red in his hand, but he does have Sarkhan the Dragon Master.
So we'll take a look. How greedy did the host of the Magic Show get here with his mana?
Well, his mana base is 3/3, 3/3, and 5 non-basics. So I would say this is, decently greedy. And Forrest made his Ivory Tusk Fortress on turn 4. Evan does have the 2nd red, but he'll take a detour on Sarkhan to make sure he gets that 5/7 off the table first. He smites the monstrous on it and swings for 2.
5/7 is a lot of numbers for 5 mana.
Yeah, not to mention, even if that guy didn't have an ability, he'd be pretty good. His ability, if you've ever seen it in action, is ridiculous.
Yes. That requires some engineering, but it's super good.
Yeah, that's one of... Ivory Tusk Fortress is one of the rares that I'd be very excited to open in a sealed deck tournament. And Forrest will play Sultai Banner into Sultai Scavenger. That's the 3/3 flyer. He'll exile the rest of his graveyard. And now Evan has the chance to play Sarkhan on an empty board here. He can Sarkhan and kill the Scavenger.
Which is a great tempo play. When the board's clean, then you can untap and start plussing your Sarkhan, and that puts your opponent under all sorts of pressure.
Let's see, he has Flying Crane Technique, Sarkhan the Dragon Master, a Plains, and I believe a Long Shot Squad.
It would be hard for me to turn down Sarkhan, kill your creature this turn.
Here's Sarkhan, and that's exactly what Evan will do. Sarkhan comes down, kills the Sultai Scavenger. Evan continues beating in for 2 with that morph, but that's not what the game's about here. We'll see whether or not Forrest has anything to answer the Planeswalker.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. There's not a lot of haste or direct damage in these colors, so he might be able to play something on the board, but there's no guarantee of being able to attack Sarkhan the following turn.
Yeah, remember, when Sarkhan becomes a creature, he is indestructible, so cards like Kill Shot do very little. Singing Bell Strike hits Evan's morph.
Well, that's step one, sort of.
Yeah, Evan actually may just... This is one of the things I have been unhappy with when I'm playing Singing Bell Strike is Evan actually just has the mana to pay for that if he really needs to.
There's also Dragon Scale Boon in the format, and he has a Flying Crane technique in his hand too. So
exactly,
I'm sure Evan is not displeased with this turn of events.
And a swing with Sorin, and then Mardu Heartpiercer just to deal 2 more to the face for Evan. He is setting up for a Flying Crane technique here. Normally, if I were Evan's opponent, I'd be pretty nervous here because that is a very aggressive use of Mardu Heartpiercer.
Exactly. That's the Mardu Heartpiercer of a man trying to kill you next turn.
Yeah, because normally this guy is this guy kills morphs. He's got a lot of great utility.
You have a Planeswalker in play, for goodness sakes. He's like pretty good insurance policy to have. So if your opponent's doing that, probably bad news.
All right, we'll see what Forrest has. It's going to be Rakshasa's Secret, and he gets Evan's last 2 cards. He gets the Flying Crane technique.
On the surface, you get to mind rot whether your opponent has 2 cards in hand. That's not bad, but the battle really here is about the board right now, and Forrest is a bit behind.
Yeah, Evan could have protected the Flying. He did play a Plains last turn that he didn't use, so he could have protected his hand from the Rakshasa's Secret.
I don't know if it matters too much because the 6th land is valuable trying to unlock that enchantment too, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Evan's still very far ahead here. He's going to play Leaping Master, goes to attacks, and Forrest is going to Icy Blast Evan's whole team. Not really how you'd like to be using the card, but with Forrest at 12, he has little option. I think just making sure that everything happened there. Yeah. The guys will get to untap. Forrest did not have the ferocity. So that's really just a fog effect. And Embodiment of Spring is the play for Forrest. That'll be able to block probably the Mardu Heartpiercer.
Icy Blast, one of the higher variance cards in the format, can be anywhere from a mulligan to spectacular, depending on how the game breaks.
Evan with another land. He's going to activate Sarkhan. See if he untaps that morph. Now he's going to give Leaping Master flying. He's going to go straight for the 2-turn, 6 power in the air. That'll be a 2-turn clock if Forrest has nothing to say about it. First hit puts him to 6.
Yeah, if the morph down there is a Sagu Archers, there's not a lot to be gained by untapping and attacking because the Embodiment of Spring already has that checked. So I'd rather just get in the 6.
Forrest draws a card, passes back.
This is the white flag. The Embodiment of Spring attack. That is the...
I'm wondering if it attacked Evan or Sarkhan.
Oh, sure.
He's going to throw a Savage Punch at him. And there you go. Evan Erwin in 3 takes the victory.
A lot of power in Evan's deck, that's for sure. Sarkhan's got to be, if not the best card in the format, near the top of the list.
He is up there for sure. His ability to come down and become a kill spell and then live to talk about it is really just a nightmare for a lot of boards.
Yeah, it's... What can you say about it? It's a high impact, high power level, monocolor Planeswalker.
I didn't feel like there was much coming back from that when Evan was able to play it and kill the Sultai Scavenger.
On an empty board like that, on a stable board, you need to have a lot of gas left over to keep playing. And Forrest just had some mopey tricks and creatures with 0 power. A very ineffectual hand in that spot. So Evan's power able to just kind of take the day.
Yeah.